Hello everybody, I'm Verdi and this is the first video of my brand new City Skylines 2 series from this tiny Caribbean island of Monteverde. The map I will be building on, I created myself, but sadly I won't be releasing it anytime soon, because my editor broke and I'm currently unable to get the map into publishable state. Either way, let's get started by building the most important thing every colonial city needs, a square plaza with a church. And as you see me struggling with that, I'll talk a bit about why I chose to set my build into the Caribbean, when there are no assets specifically for it. Well, I just wanted to try something different. I also wanted some smaller and infrastructure-light build, so I don't spend hours upon hours on rails. With these criteria, the Caribbean suddenly became the most appealing region. As for the lack of assets, don't judge too hard, especially if you are from that part of the world. The assets are just not there yet, so I'll be using mainly French buildings for the most historic parts and quite a bit of Japanese medium and Chinese low density. The Chinese stuff surprisingly fits quite well if you don't look at the ornamentation. As you can see, the church is almost finished. I ended up splicing it from a cemetery chapel, city hall extension and a watchtower. It's such a shame that the game doesn't really have churches. While I understand that religion can be a controversial topic, I think that churches are just very important buildings for any European or American city. And since the game is obviously centered around Europe and North America, churches should have been part of it. Now that I finally have the church, I can start laying out the first couple blocks and begin to fill them in. Here you can see me experimenting with making a building out of storefronts to cover this unwanted part of the city hall extension used in the church. It's safe to say that I won't do that again in this build cause it's just a pure condensed paint. Let's stop the time lapse for a bit and take a little look at what I've done. As I said in the beginning, I placed mainly French, Japanese and some Chinese assets. Also, this UK mixed building looks perfect. It might be one of the most universal buildings in the game. Just fits everywhere. I also experimented with this one German building. It might be a bit of a stretch, but I think that it overall fits okay. This Japanese one looks great too, on par with the UK one. It's just bad that it has this unremovable sign, so I'll need to replace it. Going to this little corner, you can see my custom building that took away too much time and sanity, and a narrow lane next to the church. It needed to be narrow like this, due to the roof of the extension, but they actually ended up creating a nice irregularity in the grid. Last but not least, we have the town hall. It actually is a school, but let's pretend that it's a town hall. It's so big, it barely fits into the block, so I covered this blank wall with a cat mural. Hope you enjoyed this little tour showing the general vibe that I'm going for, and let's get back to the time lapse. Let's stop placing buildings for now and finally focus on the plaza that I promised right at the beginning. If you look at cities founded in the colonial period, you'll notice that quite a bit of them have square-shaped plaza and that most of the plazas have some symmetrical landscaping converging in the center at the fountain. So I've done exactly that. My main inspiration for this was Plaza de la Independencia in Quito. My plaza is however a bit simpler, due to its smaller size. On that photo of Quito, you could also notice that even though it is clearly a grid city, it is not entirely symmetrical and pretty much nothing is perfect 90 degrees. That is why I was not using many snap tools when building the grid. I just wanted to give the city a sense of history and make it seem like it was founded a long time ago, probably in the 16th century, along with other cities in the region. And to reinforce that history and realism, I'm gonna cover the city with a layer of heavy detailing. Pretty much everything is gonna get covered by surfaces and some sort of stain or crack decals. I just hope that my poor PC will stay with me and that the frames won't drop significantly. I'm already on 15 FPS at low settings, so we'll see. But now let's do a short detailing time-lapse where I'll show you how I decorate the roads and inner blocks. As you could see, I'm putting quite a bit of detail into the city, so I'll be doing majority of the detailing off camera, because it just takes a lot of time. So I'll show only the most interesting parts or some finishing touches. And the first one of them will be power lines. In the game, power is obviously in the roads, but in real life Latin America, that would not be the case. So I'm gonna put my own purely aesthetic power lines almost everywhere. I also came up with this cool trick to connect the cables to buildings by placing the pole inside the building and sinking it to ground a bit. Then I tried to place some parking, but I might redo it later because I think it should be more dense. Next on the list are decals. I already used a lot of them on the streets, but it just made the buildings look more out of place due to how clean they are. So I covered them with stain decals too. I might regret this decision later, cause it's really time, energy and PC performance demanding, but hey, it looks awesome. While I did, I also placed a lot of graffiti, because that's something you would probably find quite a bit of in this type of a city. Last but not least, the lighting. I really don't like how on every street there are different lamps, so I deleted all of them and replaced them with these older looking ones. I tried to place them inside electricity poles where possible, to make them look like they are mounted onto them. And with that, this episode's build is complete. So like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one where I'll be building a small river and expanding the city a bit. But until then, take care and enjoy the cinematics.